Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and welcome to another exciting edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-host, Tony Robinson, who is up in Canada right now. We're a very exciting time for Canadian sports fans, as your Toronto Blue Jays have taken a 3-2 lead in the Baseball World Series. Tonight is going to be Game 6. You have Gassman on the mound against the dominant Yamamoto for the Dodgers. So, but before we get into our normal footy talk today, Tony, first, how are you doing, and what are your predictions for the baseball game tonight?
Hi, Phil. I'm just getting over a bad case of the flu and coughs, so I'm working on half a tank.
Feeling
I think
better, I hope.
Yeah, getting there. I think it's just a change in climate, and the body was run down. I just realized I'm not 18 anymore. I can't burn the candles at each end, and going in the pub 5 or 6 times a week for 2 months is my body's saying, slow down there, old timer, you know. Anyway, but no, exciting times in Canada. As you know, Toronto is the only Major League Baseball team outside of the States. And this is an interesting thing I read the other day, is that the Major League Baseball season, which for people in the UK, it's a long season, 162 games. The first official game of the season was in Japan, and the last official game will be in Canada. So it's the first time ever that the start and end of the season has not ended in the United States. So I think that's an interesting fact. But based on, it's going to be a tough match, because that pitcher for the Dodgers has pitched 2 complete games and has dominated. So if they can solve him and get to the bullpen for the LA bullpen, they've got a chance to wrap it up tonight. If not, Game 7, anything can go in Game 7. But I think the odds are in favor of the Jays, because you've got 2 games to win 1. So fingers crossed to get it wrapped up tonight. But yeah, I think the whole city and the country is really excited for this. It's the one time in the year in October that nobody's talking hockey. It's all baseball. So we're looking forward to that, Phil.
I have really enjoyed this so far, and there's nothing I enjoy more than seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers lose. So hopefully your Blue Jays can do it. I'll tell you, one of the things I was spot on about last week, and frankly there weren't many, was the series would go at least 6 games. So if you did bet that tonight is Game 6, so you've already won on that. As much as I would like to go on the Blue Jays tonight, and I still might, depending on what the money line gets up to, I think it's about plus 135 on the Blue Jays right now. It's just so tough to bet against Yamamoto. That being said, if it does go to a Game 7, my money is going to be on the Blue Jays at the home team. I do hope that they could just manage to wrap it up tonight. One thing is that Yamamoto, like Tony mentioned, has had the complete games. And that's been a big deal, because the Dodgers do not have the strongest bullpen. So I think that the most important thing that the Blue Jays could do is work the count, try to get Yamamoto's pitch count up, and hopefully, maybe get to the bullpen late tonight. That would at least be my strategy.
Yeah, I think it's... I think the Blue Jays can, as you say, work up the pitch count, because they've done a good job so far in getting the starting pitchers, who generally will, if they 100 pitches is probably around their limit these days. But if they can get him up early in the game, that's, you get into that bullpen, and I think definitely the Jays have the advantage. So yeah, fingers crossed. We'll be watching tonight and hopefully get a good result.
I'm hoping so. I will definitely be watching from here in Arizona. Now, moving on to our normal topic, which is football, and most importantly, Accrington Stanley football. We've had a couple of results since our last recording. The most recent one, which was on Tuesday, which is a draw against Tranmere. We'll get to that a little bit later. I did want to touch on the 2-1 loss against Fleetwood. That was the match that we covered on our last episode. Unfortunately, even though I didn't bet it myself, I was correct about betting the Fleetwood money line and having that be the correct bet. That was what I wanted to be wrong about, but I wasn't. But Tony, you watched that match, so tell us what you saw. In both negative and positive in the Fleetwood match, and then I watched the Tranmere match. So I'll talk about that a bit after you touch up Fleetwood.
Well, if you look at the and I've been going on a lot and talking about the player ratings and how that sort of can give you an indication of the best team or why they won against Fleetwood. It's a totally different ratings by the players from the match against Swindon, where Paddy McFadden had a 9.1, which I said was unheard of. And now he's gone back to 5.8 against in Fleetwood. The overall team is 6.6 rating. And Phil, you get that rating. If you get anywhere in that range, you're going to lose. And they did. And the other in Fleetwood came in with a 7.1. They had a lot more players over 7.4, over 7.0. So looking at the stats, it's bang on this one. But I think what's interesting is when you mentioned the Tranmere match. If you look at the ratings for Tranmere, Stanley had overall as a team rating was 7.3. Generally, you're getting 7.2, 7.1 and higher. You're going to win the match because the other team, Tranmere, had a 6.8 rating. So it's quite significant, yet they didn't win. And I think people can look at the fact they missed the penalty, which would probably have resulted in a win, obviously, and would substantiate the ratings for the way they are. So I think that one incident where they missed the penalty really sort of is the reason why obviously they got a point, but also it shows that it was 1 point of the match that really didn't affect a lot of the player ratings, although Paddy Madden did, for second game in a row, have a poor rating of only 6.2. And it's funny, you see a player, Isaac Heath, who's a very electric player, but because of the type of dribbling and moves he does, he'll lose the ball on the second or third dribble. And that hurts his scoring. And again, he scored on the 6.7 he scored against Tranmere. So I think if you get a 7 out of Isaac Heath, it means he's been outstanding. So I don't think it's harsh to judge him on that. But overall, based on this rating system, we should have won that game, Phil. And as I say, you watched it, and I was under the weather. I wasn't able to watch. I've seen the highlights, but what did you think?
What your numbers say are exactly what my eyes saw watching the match. So now I know we talked a couple times during the match. When we scored the goal, you had mentioned that at that point, up to 16 minutes in the game when Sean Whalley scored, that the numbers were pretty even. I said, Stanley really has been the better team. I'm not surprised we got the goal. Now, what happened after the Sean Whalley goal is it really kind of lit a fire under Tranmere for the next 30 minutes. And from the Whalley goal until the end of the first half, and particularly the last 10 minutes of the first half, Tranmere played their best football of the day. They were the better side for that 30 minutes. We weathered the storm, and that's when I came back at halftime and I said, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get a second goal, because I think Tranmere is going to manage at least one. And we're going to need to outpossess them in the second half, because at that point, I think it was 47 for Stanley, 53 for Tranmere at halftime. And it had just been really a match where whoever was possessing the ball was in control of the match, if you will. Well, what happened is we came out after halftime. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they were definitely, for the entire second half, Stanley was the better side, in my opinion. The goal that did happen, it really was just a fantastic individual effort by Charlie Whitaker. I'm pretty sure it was an unassisted goal. What happened is the ball basically bounced off the chest of a Stanley defender straight to Whitaker. It was kind of an unlucky bounce. We had a defender on him. This guy, Whitaker, he's literally falling down, manages with his right foot. He's about I want to say maybe a foot or two to the right of the post, just outside the 18-yard box. Falling down, manages to flick it with his right foot right into the top left corner of the goal. The keeper at that point was set up for Stanley to guard the left post, and then to guard the right post, and then the ball was flicked into the left corner. So really not much that Wright could do in that situation to try and stop it. We had the play defended. It was just a fantastic individual effort. But then it was less than 5 minutes later. It was literally a counterattack off the face-off after the goal. We came down. We put pressure right on immediately. Madden actually made an outstanding pass that led to us winning the penalty. And then, like you said, this is what made the draw feel like a loss to me, is that anytime you get a penalty kick, there's about a 70% chance you're going to score. So, I mean, at that point, there's a 70% chance you should put that in, and that would have been the winning goal, as you said. And what ended up happening is, and I don't quite understand. I know these guys watch a lot of film. I know they know tendencies. My guess is that Madden had to have thought that the keeper, Joe Murphy, was going to commit one way or the other, because he basically kicked it right into his chest. He did manage to follow it up with a header that Murphy held right on the line. I think that if VAR had been a thing, that they probably would have found that the ball crossed the line partially, but I do think that Murphy did actually hold it out. I think it was a good call. It was as close as it gets. And one thing, I know, especially with Wally and Madden, we have some older players, but when I was watching the game, this keeper, Joe Murphy for Tranmere, I'm like, this guy looks like he's been around since the Thatcher administration. I looked up. This guy is the same age as me. He's 44 years old. So hats off to Joe Murphy for still being in the game at 44 years old.
Phil, yeah, no, that's incredible. When I saw the age, that's incredible for him to be that competitive at that age. So good for him. The one thing that when I watched the highlights, the one thing that I noticed is I didn't see any official in the picture on or near the line watching the penalty. And I in any penalty shootout you get in tournaments or whatever, the linesman is always beside the goal on the goal line to watch. I don't know where this linesman was. He's probably on his line and not going towards the box. The referee was off to the left, quite a distance from the 6-yard box. So, I think they were in a position where they weren't in a position where they could really get a good look, and I think that was poor on their part. But at the end of the day, they didn't call it because I don't think they actually saw it or were close enough to see it, Phil.
I think it was too close to call one way or another. It's one of those situations where, as much as I hate VAR, I would have liked to have had VAR. I do think I've watched it over and over again, and I do think that the ball probably got about a third of the way over the line, but I don't think that there's any way the entire is what you have to remember is that the entire it's in American football, the nose of the ball just has to touch the goal line. In association football, it's completely opposite. The ball has to completely cross the goal line 100%.
Well, I think the Hawkeye system they have in the referees have a watch, and if the ball goes to the line, they get an instant buzz on it. I think that's too expensive, unfortunately, for the lower leagues. But when we just talked about
does League Two have the chips of the balls?
Sorry,
does League Two have the chips of the balls?
Well, I don't think they have the cameras and everything, the technology set up in the lower leagues to, I think, League One and Two might even be the championship where they don't have the Hawkeye system to see if the ball goes over the line, because I think there might be a cost factor involved. But just to finish off my thought on the keepers, the last few matches, Wright as his rating has not been over 7. And you really need your keeper to be 7 and over to come out with a result. Murphy, by the way, had a rating of 7.3, so a big reason why they went away with a point on that. The top 2 rated players on Stanley were Matthews at 8.1 and Wally at an 8.1. It's interesting to note that the defenders generally, 2 or all 3 are always over 7 and over, which would reflect in the low scoring by the opponents. So the problem isn't really on the back end, other than maybe the keeper's rating should be higher. Other than that, it's generally the forwards where we're poor in the ratings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Sean Wally effect, if you will, was immediately felt. I mean, not just to the fact that he scored a goal. You could just see that the entire offense in that final third, it just seems to operate more fluidly when he's in there. And when you have that guy that that you can count on to make that pass, I just think it raises the confidence of everybody else around him.
For sure. And you get Walton coming back, and I think there's going to be competition for picks. And coming into Sunday's match, I think it's a 5:15 kickoff in the UK. They're playing a team called Gainsborough Trinity, which is in the 7th tier of the football pyramid. It's a game that you expect them to win. And I'm sure that John Doolan will give some of his bench players, subs, a starting role in it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Walton and Wally get 45 minutes, unless he doesn't want to risk aggravating them. If he's confident in them, I think they would get a half a game in. But we'll see. And it's on Sky in the UK, and I think because it's one of those that may be labeled as a possible giant killer, and they want to have that on TV. So we'll see what happens there. But on paper, Stanley should be clear winners.
I hope you're right about that, Tony, because we definitely want to see them move on. And as you mentioned, the EFL League Two action is on break with the cup matches this weekend. So in terms of gambling picks, we're going to look at the upper leagues a little bit. This first match here is actually today. I'm going to try to get this out by noon U.S. time here on on what is Friday, Halloween, October 31st. And this game kicks off at 1 p.m., so you have about an hour. And this is Coventry and WREXHAM. Coventry has been on an absolute roll lately. They're top of the championship. It is at WREXHAM. I still think that at minus 114, which is pretty close to even money. Well, let's just say I've already put money on it. There's also a couple of other bets that I've made on this game. One is a three-leg parlay, which is the Coventry money line that I already mentioned. Over 2.5 corners for Coventry. And then Coventry has a player, Brandon Thomas Asante, who is actually of Ghanaian descent, obviously, with the name Asante, was born in Milton Keynes, actually. Thus far, he has 9 goals and 3 assists in 12 matches. You guys can do the math on that and see that that is 12 points in 12 matches. So my three-leg parlay is Coventry over 2.5 corners, and then Asante to just have at least one on-target shot. If all three of those things happen, it's 150 plus 150, which is 10 quid to win 15. And then I have also bet on Asante to have a goal or an assist in the match. That's coming off at plus 110, which is just incredible that you're going to be able to get more than even money on a guy who has 12 points in 12 games so far. And if you want to bet on him to get a goal, he's got 9 of those in 12 games. You can actually get plus 155 on that. I think the Coventry and Wrexham match is a real nice betting opportunity. I've already got my money on the bets that I've mentioned.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, Phil. And what's your thoughts on Saturday? Are you looking at some Premier League matches for betting?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm looking at is there's a lot of what we want to call mismatches in the Premier League. And I'm not sure that some of them are actually quite the mismatches that the odds makers have out there. Now, there's a match on Saturday that you and I are both particularly interested in, and this line actually kind of blew me away. Because the game is at Burnley. So we're talking about Arsenal at Burnley. When I looked yesterday, the money line on Burnley was going off at plus 1,000. That means that for every 10 quid you bet, you'd win $100 just on Burnley to win outright. Today I looked, it's even gone up. It's now at plus 1050. So if you bet 10 quid on Burnley, you'd win 105 quid. I mean, it's really getting to the point in that match now. I mean, obviously, as an Arsenal supporter, I'm not going to do this. And I mean, to bet on Arsenal at this point, you're betting 10 quid to win like 3 quid. So that's not really worth it. But I mean, when you have one Premier League team against another Premier League team, and it's paying out over 10 to 1, what are you going to take a stab at that, Tony?
That sounds interesting, doesn't it? I mean, it's food for thought. I'm going to have to think about that one, Phil. But I know what I think the result will be, and I'm hoping that the betting line would be right, because even you put a $5 on it, you'll come out quids in. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Burnley fan, how can you not put 5 on that?
Yes, I don't have an answer for that. You're absolutely right, Phil.
But now there's some other games here that I'm looking at that I think the lines are a little bit off on. The first two are on Saturday. One is Brentford at Crystal Palace. Brentford, they're on a real good run of form. They've got 2 wins in a row. Obviously had a really big win on Sunday, yet they're still going off plus 310 against Crystal Palace, who aren't in the on the best run of form. Then you've also got Leeds plus 300 at Brighton. I don't know if I like that one quite as much, but I mean, I think that if you were to put, 10 quid on Brentford at plus 310, 10 quid on Leeds at plus 300, there's a pretty good chance at least one of them is going to win and you're going to come out ahead in that scenario.
Yeah, yeah, I can't disagree with that one as well, Phil. I think your assessment's pretty good.
Well, the one that really kind of struck my interest is actually on Sunday, where we have Bournemouth. They're playing, some of the best football in the league, obviously, right now, against Manchester City, who, obviously they're Manchester City. They haven't quite been in Manchester City form this year. You're getting plus 500 on Bournemouth right now, and I mean, so you've got basically two top four teams going at it, and one of them you're going to be able to get plus 500 on it. All of these bets that I'm mentioning here on the Premier League, these are long shots. These aren't the Coventry bet. These are all long shots, and it's unlikely you're going to win all of them. But I mean, certainly, between Leeds, Bournemouth, and Brentford, I would be shocked if at least one of them doesn't win.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's some strange results in the Premier League this year, and I mean, who would have bet Liverpool losing four in a row, and Bournemouth being second after 9 matches? I mean, that's just you wouldn't have been able. Well, I think if you'd have bet on that, might have been able to retire because you would have gotten incredible odds.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a strange year, and I just keep hoping that things keep going like they were, being an Arsenal fan, and that we keep winning, and that these other teams keep struggling. But it's going to be an interesting Saturday and Sunday in the Premier League, and these odds are just so big that I can't just see going shop. No. I mean, there's going to be probably a guy that does a 3-team parlay on Crystal Palace, Manchester City, and Brighton, and then laughs at me on Monday. But I can't see the whole weekend going shock.
Yeah, it's unfortunately for us over here on the first round. There's not any televised match for the FA Cup first round, so I won't be able to see a lot of the matches. Because I love watching the early rounds of the FA Cup where you have a lot of league teams in, and you see they're playing at the home grounds, and unfortunately we won't be able to see that. So
yeah, especially when you get rid of the bigger teams in the lower leagues, and they're going into a ground that has like 900 seats.
Well, if I've been sort of taking it easy on. When I got back here from the UK. In fact, my liver's was out in the line for a few days drying out, and not feeling too good. I haven't been sort of anywhere near a drink, but if the Blue Jays win tonight, I might open up a nice bottle of single malt and have a drink and toast to them if they pull it off tonight.
Well, I hope you do open that bottle tonight, and I will be rooting for the Blue Jays down here in Phoenix. Otherwise, I think next week we're looking at trying to come out one day earlier on Thursday. I've covered everything that I had for this week. Is there anything you had left, Tony?
No. As I say, I haven't really been doing a lot this week, and so I don't really have a lot to add other than I think it was a chance for Stanley to move up in the table a little bit, and that bottom of the League Two is getting really sort of tight at the moment because
who saw Newport winning 3-0 at Harrogate? I know I sure didn't, and I looked at the odds today. Newport is still the odds-on favorite to get relegated, but the way that they've been playing, one thing that I saw that was interesting is coming up on November 8th, is Newport is playing against Walsall at home. Newport, of course, has now won 2 matches in a row. Walsall's on 2 losses in a row, and Newport is getting, I think, plus 420 right now. That could be an interesting early line to get in on.
Yeah, I think that's of a concern because of the draw that Stanley got. Is in the last 6 matches, all the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 6 teams, 7 teams of all, except for one, have all got better returns on their games. I think the other team that has got the same number of points in 6 games was Crawley. Other than that, everybody's gained ground. And Newport is 11 points, and they're only 3 points out of 19th place. So I think, 19. So I think it's tight at the bottom, and you can't really go into a slump because these other teams, and Cheltenham, like for the last 4 matches, they've got 3 wins and a draw, and they were rock bottom, less than a month ago.
Well, so, that's exactly it. The bottom is playing well, the top is playing poorly, and the middle is just a log jam.
Well, yeah, from 13th to the 4th, there's only 3 points separate them. So I just think that, and Stanley's got a tough. We'll talk about that next one, but they've got a tough match when they come back.
I mean, then you had MK Dons, who were just absolutely rolling.
Well, they're playing at Chesterfield.
They got smacked in the mouth last week.
I think it's Chesterfield, Phil. They play at Chesterfield.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's like anytime somebody starts playing well and runs off 4 or 5 wins in a row. I mean, right now, you have Notts County is probably in the best run of form in 5th right now. They've got 3 wins and 1 draw in their last 4 matches. So, I mean, Notts County might be one to look out for.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be a tight season, and especially at the bottom, there's really 5 or 6 teams in the battle for relegation, and Oldham sort of their form has dropped a little bit. There's 6 to 7 teams that are squarely in the relegation battle, which. No team has seemed to have dropped off yet. I know it's only 9 games. No, sorry, I've got that. It's 14 games. So it's generally 15 to 20 games. You get an idea of where teams are at. So the next month is going to be critical for Stanley. Yeah,
and then I think after the Boxing Day weekend is when things really get interesting. So, so the next 2 months are going to be telling, and then where we sit going into 2026 is going to be really important. One thing I did want to just touch on real quick as a last parting thought is I did want to comment on that I think that the adjustments that John Doolan made at halftime in the Tranmere match were absolutely what needed to be done, and just kudos to John Doolan on an excellent strategy, I guess, if you will, in the Tranmere match. And obviously he can't kick the penalty in himself, but just credit where credit is due.
Yeah, and just an observation on that. I noticed a couple of matches that I were at, he had a chance to make the substitution. One was a case where I think it was around the 70-minute mark, and the other team made some subs. He had the subs ready. He didn't make the change, and there wasn't another stoppage of play for 5 minutes. So I think when you get the chance, you got to make the subs. And I'm not a big fan of bringing someone on at that 82, 83, 84-minute mark, because I don't think 8 to 10 minutes plus injury time.
Yeah, not unless you're ahead and you're just trying to kind of.
No, I think you got to give a sub at least 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes to have an effect on the game. So that's my only comment on his tactics for that. But fingers crossed. Let's hope we get a win on Saturday and go into the second round of the FA Cup.
Well, Tony, it's been enjoyable as always. And one more time, good luck to your Blue Jays. And on 3, 1, 2, 3. On Stanley
On
on.
Stanley on.
Cheers,
Cheers,
to
Phil.
Have a great one.